And good morning. It's 7:04 on this Wednesday, January 4th. It's time to head to Studio B for Coleman and Company.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. A Wednesday morning it is. And Wednesdays we talk about Cedarstone Bank, and most Wednesdays we talk to Bob McDonald, who's president and CEO. Bob is on the phone this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Coleman.
Good to hear from you, and we're all glad to talk about Cedarstone Bank of Lebanon, Mount Juliet, Donaldson, Simple Banking, Simply Better.
Well, I tell you, Happy New Year to you, and I'm sorry I can't kick off the new year there in person with you and MJ and Billy, but it's good to be with you on the phone, and thank you for accommodating me on the phone.
Oh, always. We love to hear your voice, and if we can't see you in person. And as of course, today is, let me look at the calendar here. Today is the 4th of January, and you've been back in office just one day, I guess, yesterday, right?
That is correct. That's correct, and we've had a long weekend break, and so we're glad to be back in the office and serving our customers. We were really busy yesterday with folks who needed to come in and do some of their banking in person, but like you and I discuss often, you can always do your banking online or on the telephone. So there's multiple ways to do your banking, not other than just come in the office. But we sure enjoy seeing folks come in and see us and getting to visit. And just wrapped up 2022, and we've had a really good year last year, Coleman, and we expect much of the same in 2023. The Fed will be meeting here in the next month or two, and so there's a lot of expectation or anticipation of what they're going to do with interest rates. So we're anxious to see what they will be doing. I'm pretty sure they'll continue to raise rates, but hopefully not as much and as often as they did in the second half of last year.
Well, it looks like maybe they hadn't whipped inflation, but maybe it slowed down a little bit. So that sounds like they're on the way to at least partially achieving their goal.
That's right. We have seen inflation come down. They have tamped it down by increasing rates. And the general thought is they want to make for certain that inflation has been beat. And so that's why they are pretty good expectation that they'll continue to increase rates and make sure that it is gone and it is dead and it's not going to creep back into the economy. So I think we should probably expect some more rate increases, but again, hopefully not as much and as often as we saw last year.
Bob, as you and the board at Cedarstone think about another year, think about what you're going to do. No doubt in the past you have talked a lot about growth, and we are still a growing area, and I have an idea that growth is a big topic of conversation at the bank.
Well, it is, Coleman. That's a very good question, and you and I talk a lot about how we're fortunate. Your listening area is a very diverse economy, and we're not dependent on any one particular industry. We're fortunate to have multiple industries that are all in play, and all are still doing very well, whether it's manufacturing or real estate or retail or any of those types of industry types are all still performing very well. And so that does bring growth. And Middle Tennessee, as we know, has become a very popular destination for people to move from New York or California. We're still seeing a lot of that. And, this Tennessee in general, I had family in a small town in West Tennessee, in Lewis County, Tennessee, and they're seeing a lot of folks moving in from California. So it's not just in Middle Tennessee, but it's all across the state.
They have found out we have a good thing here.
Yes, they have. And of course, we've known that for a long time, but they are discovering, what a great place we have, what a great landscape, what great geography we have, convenience with all of our interstates. And so they're discovering our cost of living, our way of life. So it's become evident to more and more people.
Let me ask about loans here, and instead of just saying let's talk about loans, I know you do a lot of business loans, industrial loans, business loans, this sort of thing. Of course, lending for housing construction, somebody buying a new house. Do you anticipate, as y'all plan for 2023, is that to stay about the same? Will it slow down a little? Will it increase?
We had very strong loan growth in 2022, Coleman, and we expect the same for 2023. In fact, I met with most of our loan officers yesterday, and we discussed that very topic. And all of them around the table are experiencing very good loan growth. They're experiencing a lot of good questions and a lot of good interactions from our existing customers and new customers about different types of loans. So fortunately, we are experiencing right now some continued good loan growth, and we expect that to continue into the new year.
All right, one final thing we'll talk about that we always do and pretty much save the best for last, and that's the Simply Better free checking account at Cedarstone.
Yeah, Coleman, thank you for always allowing us to end with that. It is the backbone of our bank. We think a checking account is the most important type of banking product, and ours is completely free. It has been since we opened our doors in 2004. You can get free checks. You can get a free online banking that includes bill pay, ATM, and debit card. If you use another ATM, we reimburse you any of those party fees, and we're very glad of that product. And for your listeners who don't currently bank with us, we invite them to come in and visit and let us talk about that.
All right. Well, Bob, good to have you here on the first Wednesday of 2023, and we'll do it again next week. Have a great one.
Thank you, Coleman. You too, my friend.
All right. Bob McDonald, Cedarstone Bank. Lebanon, Mount Juliet, Donaldson, Simple Banking, simply better. We're almost 11 and a half after the hour. Well, today is the first Wednesday in January, the first Wednesday of each month. We feature the UT Extension Office. And believe it or not, Shelley Barnes is right here with us this morning, live in studio. Good morning.
Good morning, Coleman.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you. Happy New Year.
How long has it been since you were here in studio?
It's been a while.
A couple of years?
Maybe. Probably before COVID.
And Leslie Watkins, you brought with you this morning.
she's
Or
my
she
work
brought
bestie.
you with her. Which, Leslie, good morning.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
You have been here since Shelley has, I'm pretty sure.
Yes,
But
definitely.
we are glad to see you this morning. as
Yeah,
well.
glad to be here.
Well, what's new?
Well, a new year, of course. We've got all kinds of things that are being planned for our extension programs. And today I have a great day planned today. I have the FC Craft Day, which is exciting. So I'll be leaving here, going to the Ag Center and making some coasters. Very excited about that.
Well, but let me just interrupt here because I just thought of something. I thought of your husband, Johnny, and I thought of
Yes.
your children, and we hadn't got to talk about them in a long
That's
time.
right.
So bring us up to date.
Ripley is 8.
Oh, no.
I know, it's crazy. It feels just like yesterday she was born, but she lost a tooth over the Christmas break, so that was pretty exciting. It's her front one, and her other front one is loose. So we were singing, "All I Want for Christmas Is Both My Teeth to Come Out." That was really fun. Davis is 5, and he's just as rambunctious as ever, and they're just fun, just my 2 little blessings.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, Leslie, how's everything with you?
Everything's been good. No, I don't have any kiddos, so no updates for me. But I do have a dog. She's doing okay.
All right. Well, you got a lot of things, I guess, to talk about this morning.
Well, I have one major thing, Coleman, and that is I have a poverty simulation coming up in February that I'm looking for volunteers for. It's February 1st, and it is going to be at the Ag Center. in the education building. And so this is where people, I'm doing it for Leadership Wilson. So this is their social service day, but this is where people can be given a role. So the Leadership Wilson friends will be given a role, and they'll have to be a member of a family living in poverty. And I need volunteers to work the stations, the community resources around the room, and so to help these people feel what it's like to not have a lot of resources. And so it's a very eye-opening experience, and I need about 20 people to come and help me volunteer for this.
You've done this before.
I've done it for 17 years.
Oh, really? That long?
Yes.
Okay. Well, is it hard to get volunteers?
Sometimes. I mean, it just depends on the day. It's about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So it just depends on what people are doing. So
What's the best way to volunteer?
the best way to volunteer is to call our office and ask for me, 615-444-9584. And then I can let people know, what their charge is. You get a packet, and there's just a 10-minute orientation, really, where you just read your packet and know what to do. And we have all the supplies and everything there. And the participants are given the information, and they just come to the different places. So like the grocery store or the social service agency, Big Dave's pawn shop, just lots of different things that you would have in a regular community, so that they can experience what it might feel like to live in poverty.
Well, I take it this has been pretty successful. If you're doing it now, maybe for the 18th time.
Well, I've done it a lot of times. I do it for the school system. I do it multiple times throughout the year.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I've had it for a long time, and it's very successful. Lots of different counties have it. Most states have it. So it's a very good interactive learning tool for educators
When's
and
it going to
others.
be again?
It's gonna. Oh, let me get my calendar out. My brain's not as sharp as it used to be. Wednesday, February 1st in the afternoon. So if people want to volunteer, that would be great.
That's 4 weeks from today.
It is.
Yes. Okay. All right. It's time for us to take a break. Shelley Barnes, Leslie, and Watkins are here from the UT Extension Office, and more coming up on Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
Gregory Dental Group in Lebanon is a family dental practice located across from Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. They offer cosmetic procedures, dental implant services, and now featuring new digital dentures. Premium dentures in just 2 appointments. No insurance, no problem. Call about our discount plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Derek Gregory. In my office, you can count on a compassionate staff who will truly listen to you, take the time to get to know you, and discuss your personal needs. I look forward to meeting you.
Gregory Dental Group, 444-0322, West Medora Parkway across from Gibbs Pharmacy.
Coleman and Company, it is a Wednesday, and again, Shelley Barnes, Leslie, and Watkins are with us, UT Extension Office. Do y'all get much of a break? Did you do much for the last 2 weeks at the office, honestly?
We were closed last week.
Yeah.
So I didn't do anything last week. The week before last, all of our reporting is due at the end of the year, Coleman.
Okay.
And so we have to report all of our successes and our impact. We call them impact statements, and those go in for each agent into our computer system, and then all of our reporting as well. And so, yeah, we're pretty busy at the end of the year trying to get all of that in. And you don't want to really do all of that impact statement reporting too early, because then all your programs are not over.
Yeah,
So Leslie and I were both at the office working on that together. Actually, we were asking each other questions, because some of the things you only do a couple times a year, so it's hard to remember exactly. But I felt like I was very busy that last week.
Well, you worked really hard that last week. You
Yes.
kind of earned that week.
That's
off.
exactly what I was about to say. I think we definitely deserved our little break, for sure.
Yes.
Do the two of you work together an awful lot, all the time, or most of the time, part of the time? What?
I think it depends on the program. If it's something that we're able to help each other on, then we're definitely there for each other. But just usually depends on what we have going on. So
Well, how long you been at the Extension Office?
17 years. I'm working on my 17th year.
All right. And Leslie, you're relatively new. but
yeah, not
new.
quite that long. I think I'll be almost. I think this will be my 3rd year. Yeah, because
been
I
a
started in
while.
2020,
Yeah.
so 2023 will be my 3rd year in May. So
Yeah,
Well-
February 1st is my anniversary. So.
Okay. What else we need to talk about this morning?
Well, I'm hoping Lesline has some things that she wants to share about her program.
Yeah, I was telling Shelly I'm in planning mode right now, but I think the biggest thing that I have going on right now that's pretty impactful is the teen cuisine program that I'm doing with the Lebanon Special School District. They're alternative school kids. So there are groups of kids that come from the different schools within the school district, and I'm kind of coming in and helping them learn some new skills, maybe some things that they're familiar with in order to help them kind of eat healthy, help them to like learn how to build their own skills in the kitchen and show them how they can make their own healthy meals at home.
Is this something you personally enjoy doing?
Yes, definitely. I think even since I've started, I've grown a love for just cooking and teaching about nutrition and educating kids and people of all ages about it.
How receptive are they to what you have to teach?
I think it depends on the topic, really, because you can only talk so much about healthy eating with kids sometimes, but I think you can never really go wrong with food in kids. So they're pretty receptive, especially when we do food tastings and things like that.
What age are you talking about here? This kind of is interesting to me.
Yeah.
This is something a little different, and you have to sell yourself to them a little bit, yeah. But where do you start?
Well, usually what I do is I try to make partnerships with different organizations in the communities, like the school districts, different schools and teachers within the county, and then try to see where our programming best fits into their classroom and kind of what needs they need in regards to like learning about health for their kids or nutrition. And then I'll come in, kind of introduce myself and a little bit about what we talk about. And then we usually go through like a series of lessons where we'll talk about healthy eating, kind of what it means to build a healthy plate, and give them a chance to try some new foods most of the time. So they're pretty receptive to it.
They ask a lot of questions.
Yes, some very out of the field, left field questions, but it definitely I think the information that they're receiving sparks curiosity. So I definitely enjoy when they do ask questions.
Well, I mean, let's face it, eating, what we eat, even the way we eat and so on has changed over the years.
Yes,
in
very
my
much.
lifetime, I mean, when I was growing up, we didn't have a McDonald's or Burger King or anything like that. Fast food was yet to come. And in fact, I can remember eating lunch at Shannon's Drug on the square.
Oh, wow.
A long time ago. But
Yeah.
but you adapt with the times, no doubt.
Yeah, exactly. So we kind of just try to meet people where they are and try to work with the resources that they do have in order to help them to kind of achieve their own personal health goals. So.
Yeah. Well, what else is going on?
Well, I mean, there's all kinds of things going on with FCE Coleman, which is our home demonstration clubs. This is what they used to be called, Family Community Education Clubs. Now we have 11 clubs in the county still, and they're active and going strong. Like I said earlier, we have a craft club that meets the first Wednesday of every month. And so
I mean, you're meeting today?
yes, we're making coasters. I'm very excited about it. We offer food. I would like to say that is sponsored by Helene Singer Cash. She is also one of our members, but she sponsors our food at our workshops and our events as a realtor. And so we're very thankful for her sponsorship. And
Where's this going to be?
it's going to be at the Ag Center in the Education Building. So we're making either alcohol ink coasters, or we are going to cut paper and make like a barn quilt coaster. So very exciting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What are you doing today, Leslie?
I'm actually going to do that program today around 11 o'clock. So I go on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays to do each parts of those different lessons for the Lebanon Special School District kids.
Well, that takes a lot of your time.
I know it does. It's because they only give me such a small portion of time, but I try to take advantage of that little bit of time and try to do the full thing and make it really worthwhile for the kids. So
Well, what are you going to eat today? What are you going to cook?
today, I think we're not cooking today, but next week we'll be learning how to scramble eggs. So these are middle school kids, by the way, too. So they're going to get to learn how to crack eggs, mix them up, and hopefully fry them up in the skillet, and we'll see.
Now, for somebody, and I'm not talking about myself, but for somebody that's done that for a long time. Sounds so simple, but you have
Right.
to start simple. Don't you?
Exactly. I think about that too. It's like, okay, we're just kind of scrambling eggs. But for kids and for people who don't get the opportunity to kind of cook for themselves that often, it can be a really big deal for them. So,
Yeah, and it's not just about cooking, is it, Leslie? It's about
Yeah.
food safety
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
making sure that we wash our hands and, like cleanup,
Cleaning,
even
yeah.
sanitizing and
All the
the
different
whole
Every
gamut.
time you crack an egg, you don't necessarily have success. I mean, in that sometimes there can be a spill.
oh,
Yeah, because you crack it on the side of the bowl, right? You're not supposed to do that, Coleman. crack it on a flat surface.
Right.
MJ didn't know that.
The experts say.
That's why you get the shell in your bowl, MJ.
I would not want to start in front of either one of you.
Oh, I understand.
Oh, I'm not a professional at cooking. It's
Really?
fine. No.
I wouldn't say I am either. I try my best and hope for
Yeah.
success.
But
learn.
you do have a few years on those that you're working
That is
with.
true. Yeah, I think so.
You could tell them wrong and they wouldn't know the difference.
This group is really fun, though. Our
They
whole
are.
office has done something related to this alternative school at Lebanon Special School District, and the staff there is just amazing to work with. And so, if there's any businesses that want to partner with them, I know that they would just definitely be open to that. I did a financial simulation with them back in the fall, and it's called On My Own, and the students were given. They chose their careers through the class that they did in school. And then I came in and let them kind of live that career out for a month. It was about an hour. And it was really interesting, the things, they're pretty quiet, but in their evaluation data, it was very interesting, the things that they said that they learned. And so, sometimes with these middle school kids, you don't know if
You
you're
can't
making
tell.
an impact because they're not really saying a whole lot, but
Well,
they're
how-
absorbing.
How many of them are wanting to be professional athletes?
I didn't have one,
Really?
and it was surprising.
Yeah.
I did have one that wanted to be possibly like a YouTube star, and we did have a little chat about that. It is possible to do careers like that, but we also need to remember that, we have the Tennessee Promise for a reason, and, we need to develop some skills, and then you can have a side,
Sure.
hobby that you can do some things like that with.
Got to keep your feet on the ground.
You do, yeah. So we had a talk with, the director and I had a talk with that child, and it's just some really good learning experiences going on. And I know Lucas has come in and done some things with them, and Morgan does 4-H over there. So our office has really kind of embraced them, and it's the staff. The kids change because it's an alternative school, but the staff is just amazing to work with. So if they're like a hidden gem, if people don't know
Well,
about them.
no doubt you've learned a lot from what you've been doing there, Leslie.
Oh, absolutely. I haven't been there too long, but I think over the next few weeks, that's definitely going to make a difference.
We've got about 3 minutes. What else can we talk about this morning?
Oh, well, one thing that people need to know is maybe how to reach our office. And so our office is located in front of the health department on Bedore Parkway at 925 East Bedore Parkway. And
just adjacent to the Ward Ag Center, the
it
fairgrounds.
is. It's
almost part of it.
almost part. Well, I guess it was on the original property, right? Until
I
they
think
gave that
so.
up to the health department. So, yeah, we're right in front of the health department. We share a building with Soil Conservation and FSA and USDA. And so it's the W.H. Neal building.
And for anybody that hadn't figured it out yet, it's right next door to where you take your trash.
Coleman, I try to make that the last thing that we tell people. I say, we're across the street from Quality Care Nursing Home. We're in front of the health department. If you get to Purity Dairy, you went too far. And then if they still don't know, and of course I say the Ag Center, Fairgrounds, and then they say I still don't know. I say, well, we're right next to the dump.
Say it real quiet.
And then they know where we are.
Collection
that.
station.
I should say collection station.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
That's better. But yeah, and our phone number is 615-444-9584. Our website is wilson.tennessee.edu. you. We are an extension of the University of Tennessee and Tennessee State University and extension programs. So, we're providing real life solutions and research-based and evidence-based information to residents of Wilson County. And we're just here to help. We have programs in agriculture, family consumer sciences, and 4-H youth development. So lots of topics we can share.
The fact that you have all this research, the resources, all of this in Knoxville available to you has got to mean so. It's hardly anything you can't find an answer for.
Right. That's what I tell
If you
people.
don't know it, you know where to find it.
We have lots of colleagues across the nation, really. All agents are plugged in with different resources across the nation. Leslie and I are members of the National Extension Association of Family Consumer Sciences. So, we're having a lot of transition right now in Knoxville with our specialists because, some of our specialists who've been here a long time have retired. So we have some gaps. But we have connections all across the nation through our professional association. So, even though some of that knowledge has left Tennessee, we know who to contact nationally. And so that's what we tell people. If I don't know the answer, I will find out for you because we have so many colleagues that, have this expertise in other areas. So that's why I said I'm not a professional in food because my degree is in family studies and child development. But I know a lot about food, and I know a lot of friends that know a lot about food. I know how to eat it.
Yeah, and Leslie and you would definitely agree. You use that's a good backup to have.
Oh, yes, for sure.
Well, our time is up, but thank you both for being here. I've enjoyed this, and I hope we've shared a little information that's going to be useful this morning. Shelley Barnes, good to see you. Thanks for coming back.
You. Thank you, Coleman. I did think about calling in, but I didn't want to do that to you again.
Oh, and Leslie and Watkins, good to have you.
Thank you.
That's part one of Coleman and Company. Keep it here for more. FM 98.9.
Simple banking, simply better. Since 2004, that's been our motto at Cedar Stone Bank. I'm Bob McDonald. We know that financial decisions can sometimes be complicated, but that doesn't mean solutions have to be. Whether you're buying a new home, renovating your existing home, or buying a car, or maybe you're a business that needs to purchase equipment for the building you operate from, we have all the technology that will allow you to do your banking online or on the telephone, or you can come in one of our beautiful branches and see our great people. With locations in Lebanon, Mount Juliet, and Nashville, Cedar Stone Bank. Simple banking, simply better.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
When you needed portable heating, cooling, generators and remediation equipment, contractor tools, or any other equipment or solution to help you get the job done, you trusted Absolute Rental and Supply. Now that same team brings you more equipment and more solutions as Herc Rentals. From construction and industrial to HVAC and homeowner, Herc Rentals has the gear and expertise to get jobs done efficiently, effectively, and safely. Visit us today at 1325 Main Street in Lebanon or online at hercrentals.com. That's HERCRentals.com.
We should be staying dry today, but look for temperatures to drop over the next few days. High of 64 coming our way under partly cloudy skies, dropping to 36 tonight. Thursday tops out at 54 degrees, and we will only see 50 degrees for Friday. This weather forecast is brought to you by Walker Auction and Realty, professional auction and real estate services. Get top dollar for your home, land, or personal property. Log on to MikeWalkerAuctions.com. They know auctions. That's a look at your forecast. I'm Number One Ned.
Welcome to part two of Coleman and Company. It's a Wednesday, time for us to talk about Herc Rentals, and we're glad to have Dave Hurst with us this morning. Dave, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Coleman.
Dave is the Assistant Branch Manager for Herc Rentals, 1325 West Main in Lebanon. Equipment and tool rental, and you'll find it all at the website, hercrentals.com, and that phone number is 615-443-RENT. That's kind of the essentials here.
Right.
How's it going?
Oh, it's going good. We started the year off with a bang. We got a load of equipment in, brand new equipment in yesterday. Haven't had a chance to look at it. Got some big telehandlers, so when I get back, we're going to get those entered in, and I assume they'll probably be out the door before the end of the week, so.
I don't think we've talked about this lately. At one time, I think you might have been looking for a few people to work. Are you in hiring mode?
We are. It's interesting. I was actually thinking about that on the way over here. We're actually, our branch and our Nashville branch are actually right now actively looking for road mechanics. So if there's anyone out there who has experience, and even in the shop, maybe you're not a road mechanic, or maybe but something you want to do, that's something that we're actively pursuing right now. Yes.
What's the best way to get started?
The best way is probably you can go to the website, the hercrentals.com, and what you'll do is go under careers, and you can look under by zip code, which will bring up our branch, the Lebanon branch, and you can apply online.
It's that easy.
It's that easy. Yeah. And then from there, usually someone will reach out to you and set up a time to meet, interview, on all of that stuff. So,
Well, if you're in hiring mode, you're probably going to be calling somebody fairly soon if they get online and apply.
Right. Yeah. Usually we'll get as soon as someone comes through, we'll get an email from the recruiters, and after they've talked to them, and we'll go from there, take the process.
Well, working for Herc Rentals is probably like in most anything else. It may not be for everybody, but you got to find out. And if you're looking for a job, I think your pay and your benefits are pretty good, aren't they?
They are, yeah. We try to be very competitive with the market, and I think their benefits package is pretty big. I think it's a great company to work for. A lot of opportunity for growth. So right now we like to promote from within. So we have other couple of positions that we're looking at moving people up along within our company. So it's just a great place to work.
Well, we say equipment and tool rental, and that really is what it's all about. But you've got so much. I mean, we used to say from wallpaper steamers to bulldozers. That's probably still true.
Almost, yeah. I think we still actually have one of the wallpaper steamers, and we've got probably bigger dozers than what we've had before.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Yep.
Well, you got anything right now that's a real popular item?
Right now, I would say it's kind of probably the homeowner side has slowed down, but I mean, guys are still getting, it's a little wet right now, but as soon as the weather clears up, we'll probably have a bunch of skid steers, excavators that are going out. We always say usually after the first week of the year, things will start, going gung ho, but it's been slowed down a little bit due to the weather and the rain.
Well, one of the things I think the word to the wise, if you really need to plan ahead, and you might can find some equipment today that you could use this afternoon, but it would be better to have started that a week ago.
Oh yeah, definitely call and make a reservation, because I've always told the guys, as soon as the sun comes out, I mean, boom, everything that you have on the lot will be gone. So it's good to plan ahead. Give us a call now, plan your job out, make a reservation, and we'll get you on the books.
Well, one of the advantages of you being here that you have talked about is that Herc Rentals is pretty much a nationwide thing, as I understand it.
Correct.
All
yes.
over the country. So if you don't have it here in Lebanon, there's one not too far away. You probably can get one. That wasn't true before it became Herc Rentals.
That's correct. Yeah. So our other closest branch would be Nashville, and they're quite a bit bigger than us. So we do have a great relationship with them. We do swap equipment back and forth. If they have something that we need, if it's available, we'll go down and get it, or they'll bring it up, and vice versa. If they need something from our fleet and we've got it and it's available, we'll give it to them. So
well, we talked about the gas, the propane, I believe.
Correct.
You
yes.
still got the market. There's a market for that.
There is,
even
a big
though
market.
It's a little warmer right now.
Yeah. We actually went through a lot of propane. I think we went through 2 Phillips in 1 week during that cold snap. So we definitely had lines waiting, and but we never ran out. So props to our supplier for keeping us filled. We still have it. We still fill it.
And another thing, I don't know about right now, but maybe if people are getting something from a high place, taking it down, and was putting it up before, perhaps decorations or whatever. But if you need a lift, you've got just about any kind of lift a person could want the right height.
Correct. Yeah, we've got scissor lifts, to work on your hard concrete, which a lot of guys are using, in commercial aspects. We have like your towable lifts, which your homeowners are going to use, and then to your big, huge boom lifts. We don't have one on our fleet currently. Currently, I think the biggest we have is 60, but we can get up to 135 feet if we need to. So.
That's too high for me.
Probably too high for me too, but the highest I've ever gone was in a 96-footer. So,
all right. Well, Dave Hurst is the assistant branch manager, Herc Rentals here in Lebanon, 1325 West Main. Just remember them for your equipment and tool rental. And the two main things, I guess, really the website, hercrentals.com, and that phone number, 615-443-RENT, RENT.
correct.
Okay, that it for today?
I think so.
Thank you. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Coleman.
All right. We're about 22 before the hour. Lebanon Mayor Rick Bell joins us this morning here with a big smile on his face after coming home from Florida and seeing the UT Vols stomp the Clemson. What are they?
Tigers.
Clemson Tigers. All right. Give us a report.
Well, it was a great trip. Nicole and I went down there and to the Orange Bowl, and as you said, it was a big win going into it. Tennessee was missing some players who some opted for the draft. Of course, our quarterback was injured, and so we had some backups in there, but they all played well, played hard, and there was a large Lebanon contingent at the Orange Bowl. We saw a lot of people there from.
Well, we know you and Mike Jennings and Larry Tomlinson were there. And after that, I don't know.
They were there. In fact, Larry and Pam sat right across the aisle from us, and I never saw Mayor Jennings, but I know he was there because he's always there.
Yeah.
But we saw several other people as well. Kathy and Joe Adams, they sat next to us, and then Cody and Kyle from Town Square Social, they were down there. So it seemed like everywhere we went, we ran into somebody from here. So it was a lot of Tennessee fans celebrating a great year. It was a good way to end it, and now it's on to basketball season.
Well, it has been a while since you went to, I guess that's a major bowl. It's bigger than the ones you've been to lately anyway.
That's true. The last time that Tennessee played in what is considered a New Year's Six bowl was the Cotton Bowl. I believe that was in 2005. And then back in 2000, played in Fiesta Bowl. And, of course, before that, played in the National Championship game. And the last time we were in the Orange Bowl was actually 1997. That was Peyton Manning's last year. His last game was there. But the last time we won the Orange Bowl was actually the 1930s. So this was a historic event.
Well, congratulations. I had wondered. I'll be honest. I really don't like this. I understand some of the players opting out because they want to make it in the pros and they're afraid they'll get hurt. I guess that's. Although on the other hand, if you look real good, it might enhance your ability to go up. But even so. Not having your the quarterback who had started all year, and knowing that this one can be erratic at times, I wondered.
Yeah.
But then Clemson, I believe they had a few that didn't show up.
Well, they started a true freshman quarterback, and they had some defensive players out. So it was both sides, and that seems to be the way it is these days. And I can't blame people for wanting to set themselves up for a professional career. So. People have worked hard all their lives to get that point, and you don't want to mess it up. So,
well, there's you can argue that on both sides. We won't take that further. I do. I understand too, but I sort of feel a little bit more like you ought to be loyal to your alma mater.
Actually, Tennessee had a player who played who said that he felt like playing would improve his draft stock.
All right. Well, back. You had to come back to Lebanon. It's back to business, and I believe we had a commission meeting last night.
We did, and there were a couple things happened last night that I think were important. Lisa Noble and Chris Patel were both reappointed to the Board of Zoning Appeals, and so that's a board that I appoint them, but the City Council has to approve those appointments. So the council did that, and I appreciate that. And I say this every time we talk about committees like that, but we have a lot of citizens who serve on boards and committees. They do it for free. They volunteer, and that's really a big part of what we do. And they play a huge role in city operations. So I appreciate everyone who volunteers for that and agrees to serve on those boards and committees. And Lisa and Chris, they've done a great job for a long time, and I thank them for continuing that. But last time on the agenda, I think there's something important to talk about. There were a couple of rezones that did not pass. One was in Ward 1, Joey Carmack. There was an annexation rezone request out on Rutledge Lane, and the Planning Commission had recommended denial. And Joey, he made a motion to deny based on that recommendation, and the council voted with him on that. And then down in Ward 1, there was another rezone that was already in the city, but Phil Moorhead, who represents Ward 6, he's new, but he had met with the developers, and and he had explained his opposition. So last night they asked for an indefinite deferral, and he granted that to them. But really, that's kind of a no to. And I mentioned those two things because, as I've said a lot of times out here, in our growth, as you and Bob McDonald talked about in your first segment, we have a lot of growth, and I believe we're in a position where we can pick and choose what comes here, and a big part of that is saying no, and the council has done that. Last night they did it twice, and so I think that's important. People realize that the council really takes this seriously when they look at these rezones, these annexations, especially annexations. As they look at these, they really analyze each one, and sometimes no was the answer, and that happened last night. But also, I think it's important for people to realize that just because a request for rezoning or annexation is on the council agenda, that doesn't mean that we are automatically in favor of it. People have the right to go through the process, go through the planning commission, make these requests, and just because it's on the agenda does not mean it's going to automatically be approved. And I think last night proved that. And so I appreciate the hard work that the council does looking at each one of these. And last night, Joey and Phil, they stepped up and said, you know what, these developments really aren't a good fit for us. And the rest of the council agreed with that. So I appreciate that.
We need to go to a break, but before we do, let me throw this out here. When we had the rolling blackouts, when it got cold the other weekend, I heard some talk about some people saying this is going to be happening more and more. We've got too many people. We don't have the infrastructure, meaning all of it, I guess, gas, electricity, roads, water, sewer, all of this to take care of all this. Comment on that.
Well, actually, I have a lot to say about that today, and we can talk about it after the break if you want. But I have some things to talk about.
All right, okay. Well, let's go. Let's go to our break then. I didn't know your agenda. Mayor Rick Bell is with us. This is Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
The regular season finale for the Titans means everything. This Saturday night from TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. Titans, Jaguars. The winner takes home the AFC South Division title. Titans Countdown happens at 6.
Brought to you by Bakes and Hooker, Bates Ford, Steve Mall Plumbing, The Jewelers, and the City of Lebanon Gas in Tennessee. 811, call before you dig.
This is Wilson County's home for real country music and the Tennessee Titans. Real Country 98.9.
Coleman and Company, thanks for joining us. Mayor Rick Bell is here. All right, we'll pick up where we left off. Short break.
That was a quick break. Coleman, back on December 23rd, we had a drastic drop in temperatures. It went down to some temperatures that we haven't experienced in quite a while. And that morning, our dispatch began receiving calls from the northeastern section of the city where people did not have heat. They were not getting gas to their homes. I got a call really early about that from Chad Muller, and who's the gas department manager, and Margaret Washko, she's the utilities director. And we got on that very quickly because we knew that people in that part of town were cold. They woke up cold, and they were scared, because you never know what's going to happen next. Very quickly, we got the gas crews out to work on that, and everybody who was involved knew how important that was. Our job as a city is to provide services, and this was a time where that was not happening, and we need to get that resolved. I was in constant communication with both Chad and Margaret, and I want to thank the crews who went out and worked. They started at 5:30 that morning. They were working outside. There were several things they need to look at to see what was going on, and they got the situation resolved around midday, but they didn't stop working there. They went out until 10:30 that night, going door to door, helping people relight their pilot lights. So this was an all-day effort by a lot of people. Our offices were closed that day. People came in to answer phone calls and worked really hard. Joey Carmack, most of it was in his ward, and he was on top of it all day. He worked really hard that day. Fred Burton, it affected his ward as well, and he was really heavily involved in what was going on. So I appreciate everyone's efforts for getting that fixed, because again, it's our job to provide services, and and everybody worked hard to make sure that service came back up because it was really cold and people need that heat. Once the situation was resolved, I asked for an immediate investigation to find out what happened. And I know there are a lot of rumors out there about what happened. I heard that we ran out of gas. We did not run out of gas. No one turned off any valves. And I also heard people say, well, growth caused it. Well, growth did not cause it. We have the infrastructure in our gas department to supply. But I will say this, and this goes back to something you just mentioned. It's been my goal from day one as mayor that as we improve our infrastructure and as we grow and we build our infrastructure, that development pay for that developers pay for that. And we've increased fees. We've increased, all kinds of connection fees, capacity fees, and every time we present that to council, they've always approved it. And I appreciate the council going along with those increases because as we grow, which we know we're doing it, that growth needs to pay for itself. Mm-hmm. And so we're putting that in place. But you're right, the infrastructure has to grow with us. And right now we have the infrastructure, but it does have to grow with us, and we need development to pay for that. But as they investigated this, they came up with a report that was presented to council yesterday. And essentially what happened was back in 2001, there was a Greenwood regulation station that had leaks. And to repair those leaks, they decreased a 4-inch gas line down to a 2-inch gas line. Okay, that happened over 20 years ago. And then back in 2019, we had a regulation station at the dog park that had been taken out of service. It was still connected, but the valves were turned off. It was just being rerouted around it. So the way we solved the issue was Chad Muller actually came up with this idea. They brought that station back online. As soon as they did, gas started to flow to that part of town. People started to get heat almost immediately. So to make sure this doesn't happen again, we're already increasing that 2-inch line to a 4-inch line. And then we're going to make sure a regulation station remains online. It may be it's going to be the dog park station for a while, but we may build another one so we can take that one back offline again. But I just want people to know that as soon as we realized there was a problem, everybody got on it. People got there and worked as hard as they could and got repaired because we knew this was important. Again, it's our job to provide services, and we need to make sure that service is out there.
What are the chances of this happening again?
That line from the investigation, that line and from that setup works 99% of the time. On that day, the temperatures dropped so fast and so low that it just didn't keep up. And so with these repairs, that won't happen again. So that's the plan with that. One thing I do want to say before we move on about this is that on that day, MJ allowed me to come on the radio and give updates on this. And I appreciate you guys letting us do that because this radio station is a great way to get word out. And she allowed me to come on air and talk about it. And not just that, but the streets and all the work the street department is doing as well. But we had a lot of people out that day. But you're right, infrastructure is important. And in that situation, we got out there and got it fixed as quickly as possible. And now we're in the process of making sure that does not happen again.
Well, it could have been a lot worse. You got it fixed fairly soon.
Yeah.
And hopefully nobody is hurt over it.
Well, and we did other things as well. The police department set up a shelter, for people if they needed to get somewhere. It may put on Church of Christ. So it was a team effort on a lot of people's parts. Dispatch was involved because they received calls. Offices were closed that day. So there are.
Which day was this?
That was on the 23rd. It was 2 days before
Friday?
Christmas. It was on that Friday.
Okay, Friday.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
So from our perspective on our infrastructure, you're correct. Our infrastructure right now in all phases is what we need. But you're right. As we grow, we have to look at how it's going to grow with us. And we're putting those plans in place. And a big part of that plan is development's going to pay for it.
What happened last night that we haven't talked about that you need to tell us?
Well, there is a big piece of news that's important for the internal aspect of the city of Lebanon. It's important for me. Back before Christmas, my staff, we had our Christmas lunch, me and Debbie Jesson, Tanya Jones, and Anthony Tate. And at that lunch, we laughed, told stories, had a good time. And at the end of the lunch, Debbie announced that she's retiring.
Debbie Jesson.
Debbie Jesson, and she has been the mayoral assistant for 4 mayors. She's worked at the city for 29 years. And in my 2 years in office, she's helped me tremendously. I can remember when I first took office, I had several people tell me, "Hey, you have Debbie, you'll be okay." And they were right. I have been, and she's been such a big part of city operations for so long. And people may not realize the other things you do. And mayoral assistant means a lot. I can't tell you how much she does in that office. But outside the office, she serves on the Mayor's Youth Council. She serves on the board of the Lebanon Senior Citizen Center. She serves on the Underage Alcohol Task Force. But in that office, she's really important. And again, I can't tell you how much work she does in different aspects of city operations. And
well, I've wondered if it might be in her interest to write a book, maybe a tell-all book. She could probably sell a bunch.
Well, actually, she said she did tell me that she could write a book, but she's not too sure the people who would be in the book would be happy with it. So, but we talked about it yesterday, and how
did she start with Bobby Jewell or Don Fox?
Don Fox.
Okay.
She was Don Fox, Philip Craighead,
Right, yeah.
Bernie Ash, and now me. And we've talked about it, and she talked about all the counselors she's worked with through the years. And there's been countless numbers of counselors she's worked with, and of course,
That's
4
true,
mayors.
but every one of you mayors are different. And I've got to know all of them kind of well, and didn't have Bobby Jewell on that much. He was the 5th one back, but went to high school with him. So I've known you quite well, and you have your own styles and the way of doing things.
Everybody does, and she's had to manage that.
Yeah.
And she's had to adjust to that, and I know that's difficult to do. Debbie, she told me that she's actually done the interior design on 4 different city buildings, and one thing that's interesting, she told me too that through the years, whenever a position came open or something happened, the mayors would say, "Hey, you need to go do that," and then all of a sudden they say, "Wait, you need to be here. I can't lose you." So Debbie, she's done a great job. I was shocked when she told me, and
this was just out of the blue.
And there's some family things she needs to take care of, and but to think about all she's meant for this city, and that.
Well, what's her retirement date?
It's in March.
Okay.
I don't know the exact date. It's in March.
We got a little time.
She's going to be around for a while, and as I told the council last night, it's not her last night. She's going to be around for a while, but we're going to start a transition plan to see who's going to take her place, because it really is a big job.
Well, I'll have to say this. There's been 2 or 3 times when I really needed help, need to get to somebody or get a message or get a program or whatever. She's always been a go-to person.
And, when it comes to my calendar, she keeps it straight. And that, I know that's a tough job, because, to make sure I'm where I need to be at the right time and meetings and things like that, I know that's tough. And she fills a lot of phone calls. There's a lot of times that I know she takes care of things out there for people that maybe I don't even know about.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate all of it.
Well, I kind of think of her as I do Teresa over at the Senior Citizen Center.
Yeah.
going to be hard to replace.
Yeah,
and I'm not sure you're going to replace Debbie. Maybe you'll find somebody who can do as equally good job, but I'm not even sure of that.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You know, it's she cannot be replaced. Somebody will fill that position, but it'll be different. It will be different.
All right, we got a couple of minutes left here this morning. What else is on your boy? Have we talked about everything on your list?
Well, there's one thing I do want to talk about, and we talk a lot about job opportunities for people. You know, it's tough these days to fill positions, and one of the things that I've realized over the past several months is that there are a lot of people who are coming to work for the city of Lebanon who are retiring from a career, and maybe I did the same thing. You know, I worked at Coleman for 20 years, and now I'm the mayor. But there are people who are my age. William Fuller is one of them, and Mitch Griffin, who runs our sanitation now, who worked at other places for a long time. They retired, but they didn't want to go home.
Yeah,
and so they applied for the city and are doing great jobs for us, and I think that's something out there that I just want to say. If you know, I know you have a lot of listeners and who have grandkids and kids and people my age too. That you know, if you're looking for something that if you're home and want to look for something to do, come work for the city. It's a great place to work. It's a great bunch of people. We have really good benefits, and if you've had a career that's ending and you want to start something new, please reach out to us. The other day, I had a friend of mine I've known since high school. He called me. He said, "Hey, Rick, I'm retiring. Does the city have anything? I think I'd be interested in that." And I was like, you know what? That's a good idea. Yeah. And so I just want to say that today that we're like a lot of other businesses out there. We're having a hard time filling positions sometimes, but for people out there who are looking for that second career, come work for us. It's a good place.
Thank you so much for being here. We are out of time. That is it for Wednesday.